Good morning, dear students. Welcome to my fourth lesson on this program. I am very happy and excited to start the lesson with you today once again, and I hope that we spend a nice time all together. So, in the program of Educatech for helping students to improve themselves in subjects like history, geography, English, mathematics in the different schools, primary and secondary. Today, in the frame of this program, we are going to work on an English lesson. So, the English lesson which I choose to work on today is the English pronouns. As you can see, the English pronouns are very important and they are very important in English, and every English learner should know them and should know how to deal with them and how to function, should know how do they function. So we start by an outline to our lesson for today. We write the title first. So we write English the English pronouns. The English pronouns. Of course, we have many types of pronouns, but in this lesson, we are just going to focus on three types of pronouns which are very famous and very common in English. So, I give you first an outline of our lesson in the first slide. So when we talk about the English pronouns, we talk about three types of pronouns. Three types of pronouns. We will work on them one by one and see how they function correctly in English. So the first type is subject, okay? Subjective pronouns. Subjective pronouns. And the second one is objective pronouns. And the third one is possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns in English. So today we are going to work on the English pronouns, okay? And we shall focus on the most common pronouns that we encounter in our communication, both written and oral. So the first type is subjective pronouns. The second type is objective pronouns, and the third type is possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns. So now in the next slide, we start with the first one, with the first type, and we see how it works. So I shall write here. Subjective pronouns. Okay, I take the eraser. Subjective pronoun. Okay, when I say subjective, it's from the subject. Okay. Subjective pronoun. Subject. Subjective pronouns. Okay. Subjective pronouns. Okay. I take another color and I write them. And of course, when I write them, you will find that you know them all. So we have I. We have you. We have he. And we have she. And we have it, and we have I, you, he, she, and we have we, and we have you, and we have they, and we have they. So these are the subjective pronouns that we have in English, and I think that they are very familiar to you and very common, and everybody knows them. So everybody knows them. So we will see how they function. Of course, I write an example here. Let's find let's find a sentence here with this. We say, for example, you travel You travel alone, for example. This is a sentence. This is a sentence. You travel alone. For example, he goes to school. He goes to school. He goes to school. Okay, so this is a sentence. In this sentence, what do we have here? I say, for example, eats she eats meat. She eats meat. So this is just these are just examples of sentences that we have, okay, that we have built, starting with the subject pronouns. So as you can see here, if you want to analyze the sentences, what do we have here? We have the first one is you, and the second one is a verb, and then what comes up, okay, an adjective or place or time or an object. So you travel alone, and here we have he goes to school, and here we have she eats meat. Of course, we can form other sentences if we like. I'm just going to give you the examples now. So you, he, she, and it. So what can you understand from the subjective pronouns? They are pronouns which they come before a verb. Let's take another slide. I write it here, so we're always in the subject pronouns, okay? I write a sentence to analyze it better. We say, for example, she eats meat, for example. She eats meat. Okay, here we have she, and we have eats, and we have meat. What is she? Is a subject pronoun. And where is that's a verb? Eat is a verb, eats a verb, and here we have eat what? It's an object. I eat what? I eat meat. So, what do you understand from this sentence? What is the position? What is the right position of the subject pronoun? They come where? They come before a verb. They come where? Before a verb. Whenever we have a verb, which is an action, we need a subject. We need a doer. We need a doer. That's why the right place of subject pronoun or subjective pronouns are the are before verbs. So what do we see here? We have the first, and the second, and next. So the first position, it's for subject pronouns, and the next is for the verb. So what do you see here? The verb eats, it's just before the subject pronoun is just the before the verb. So we never find a verb without a doer, So when I say doer, it's the subject without a doer or subject. Of course, when I say eat meat, we answer the question, or we ask the question, who eats meat? Who eats meat? The doer of the action, the one who eats meat, is she. So what do we say? She eats meat, and this is very logical. So the first, when we talk about subjective pronouns, we talk about the first position in a sentence just before a verb. And whenever we have a verb, we need a subjective pronoun. So I go back and see what we have seen. I said that in this lesson we shall see the English pronouns, and I talked about three types of pronouns which are very familiar and common in English. The first one is subjective, the second one is objective, and the third one is possessive. The first one that we are going to start with is the subjective pronouns, and I wrote them here. So they are I, you, he, she, and it, and we have you, we, and they. Of course, we have singular, and we have plural, and we have singular, and we have plural. Of course, here when I say you and you, so you here I'm talking about one person, I say you, and here when I'm talking to a group of people, so I say you, it's plural. So I wrote some sentences here as examples to illustrate. So we have you plus travel plus alone, and here we have he goes to school, and here we have she eats meat. And on the other slide, I wrote the sentence to analyze it. So what do we have? Subjective pronoun and verb and object. What does it mean here? It means that the verb should have a subjective pronoun. Should have a subjective pronoun. So the subjective pronouns, they are always come before a verb. Whenever we see a verb, we should find a subject pronoun, a subjective pronoun for them. So now I shall go back and see here. When I say I, it's very clear I'm talking about me. And we have you, that's very clear too. But when I say he, it's like, when I say he, it's when I say he, it like, say, for you're talking about what? Talking about a male. We say, for example, James, we say he. That's a male, right? That's a male. When I'm talking about he, I'm talking about a male. I write M, that's a male. Ahmed, we say he, or say Ahmed. And when we talk about she, that's female, right? When we talk about female. And when we have it, it's about an object or about an animal, both an object or an animal. I give you some examples in these cases here. I give you some examples. We say, for example, we go back to our sentence and we say, for example, she, and we have eats, and we have meat. Here, if you want to replace she with a name, we can say Sarah, for example. So Sarah eats meat. The same thing here. If I give you another example with he, we say, for example, Alan. Okay, Alan. Or I take an Arabic name. Okay, I say, for example, Ahmed. Ahmed, for example, goes to school. Ahmed goes to school. So here we have, what do we have? We have Sarah instead of she. And here we can have Ahmed instead of he. So this is what? This is for what? It's for female. She is always for female, and he is for male. And here is for male. Okay, so I take the blue red pen and I write male. So she eats meat. That's Sarah. Sarah eats meat. The same thing. So if I want to use the pronoun or the name, both of them are correct. Here we have Ahmed goes to school. It's like saying he goes to school. There is no difference. The first one is a pronoun, and the second one is the real name of the person. So I go and see another example with it. Okay, I shall write it here. I shall write it here. Okay, it, for example, it drinks milk. It drinks milk. It drinks milk. So here I say it drinks milk. So it's like saying the cat. The cat drinks milk. So this it can function in the place of the cat. So it is what? It is for object or for animals. Okay, it's for object and animals. So here we have she, and we have he, and we have it. I use she when I'm talking about a female. I use he when I'm talking about a male, and I use it. It's both for objects and animals. And here we can say she eats meat. It's like Sarah eats meat, the same thing. And here we have Ahmed goes to school, or we say he goes to school. But here we say it drinks milk. Who? The cat. The cat drinks milk. So that's the cat. It's like saying it's an animal, so it or the cat are only the same. I go back and see what we are doing in order to catch up. So the English pronouns, as I told you, we have three types: subjective pronouns, objective pronouns, and possessive pronouns. Okay, the first one that we started with is the subjective pronouns, and here are the subjective pronoun: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. And I formed the sentences here for illustration reasons. So the first one to analyze: subjective pronouns. As I told you, she eats meat. So she is a subject pronoun or subjective pronoun, and eats is a verb, and object is meat. So what is the position of the subjective pronoun? It's the just before the verb. Whenever we have a verb, we should find a subjective pronoun. And I went to the fourth slide to see. Here, she eats meat. I'm talking about a female. When I say she, it's about a female. That's why we can replace she with Sarah, for example. And here we have Ahmed goes to school. That's the same thing. It's a male. Okay, Ahmed can replace a male here, and he. So here it drinks milk. I'm talking about a cat. So we say the cat drinks milk. So it can replace both objects or animals at the same time. So now we go up to see the next category, which is the objective object. Okay, my handwriting is always bad. I try to make it better with this board. The objective pronoun. The objective pronouns. Okay, the objective pronouns. So when I say I, it becomes me. And when I say you, it becomes you. There is no change. And I, him, he becomes him, and she becomes her, and I, you, he, she, and it becomes it, and we becomes us, and they becomes them. So I, you, he, she, it, we, you, them, and of course you, we have two. It's singular and plural, of course, and this is what we have here. So for I, it becomes me, and you, there is no change. I repeat and write it in the middle in order to make it clear. I write it in the middle. Okay. So I write first. I repeat the subject pronouns: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. So here I take another color. So this I becomes what? Becomes me. And this you becomes you. There is no change. And he becomes him. And she becomes her. And it becomes it. There is no change, of course. And here we have we becomes us, and you, no change. And they becomes them. So these are objective pronouns. And why do we call them the objective pronouns? Because they function in the place of the object. I shall write a sentence here to make it more clear. So I take, for example, this is a sentence. I take Ahmed out. I take Ahmed out. This is a sentence. So let's analyze it now. So what is I? I is a subject, and we have take is a verb, and we have Ahmed is an object. And here we have subject pronouns, and here we have object pronouns, as I told you. So we are now studying the object pronouns. So subject, verb, object. So if you want to replace Ahmed here, we can replace it by, because we say Ahmed in the subject pronoun place is he, and here it becomes him. So what do we say? I say, I take him out. I take him out. I take Ahmed out. I take him out. And if we have, let's take another sentence to see it more. We say, for example, Sarah loves her mom, loves her mother. Sarah loves her mother. So what do we have here? As simple as that. We have subject, and we have verb, and we have object. Okay, so the subject is Sarah, and the object is her mother. So her mother is what? Her mother is a female, so it can be replaced by her, very simply. So I say Sarah loves her. Loves her. Who? Her mother. So Sarah loves her. Why do I say objective pronouns? Because they can replace the nouns and the people in the object position. And of course, here we have Sarah as an object, as a subject. If you want to take it, we say she. She. She loves her mother. She loves her. She loves her. She loves her. So I give you another example. I give you another example. Now I write, we walk the dog. We walk the dog. We walk the dog. As usual, we have here subject, and we have verb, and we have object. Subject, verb, object. So the idea is, if you want to take the dog, what is the dog? The dog is an animal. So as I told you, if you want to replace the object with an animal, the animal or object are it. So we say, we walk it. We walk it. So that's we walk it. So this is how we form the objective pronouns. So what is the idea now? We have subjective pronouns here, and I wrote them here to show you what is the objective pronouns from them. So this I becomes me. So here, what do we have here? Normally we have verb. So when we have verb. So when it is before, that's a subject, and when it is after, that's an object. So here we have I and verb and me. You becomes you, he becomes him, she becomes her, it becomes it, we becomes us, you becomes you, no change, and they, them. And here we have three examples. I take Ahmed out. So what is Ahmed? Ahmed is an object. So an object and a male. So what is it here? It's him. I take him. Sarah loves her mother. So Sarah is a subject, verb, and we have object. And what is the object? Is a female. So the female can be replaced in the object pronounced by her. And here we have we walk the dog. So the dog is an animal in the object place. So it is it. So what do we say? We walk it. So I write it in a very clear way here. So normally what do we have? We have in a sentence, we walk, we walk the dog. We walk the dog. Stop. We walk the dog. So what is we? What is we is a subject. And what is walk and what is the dog? Subject, and here we have verb, and here we have object. So when I talk about pronouns, they are always about the subject, about the verb. So when it is before, that's a subject pronoun, and when it is after, that's an object pronoun in a very simple and easy way. So here we have we walk the dog. So this is the verb. Before a verb, it is always the subject pronoun, and after a verb, it is always the object pronoun. It is always the object pronoun. So I go back and see what we have seen so far from the beginning. I said, now we have the English pronouns as the lesson of we have the English pronouns. So today, as I said, we have the English pronouns as a lesson of today. We have three types. We have the subjective, objective, and possessive. And we have possessive. So the first one that we have started with is the subjective pronoun. And I said that we have I, you, he, she, and it, we, you, and they. And they are all subject pronouns, and they come just before a verb. So whenever we find a verb, we should always find a subject or a doer of this verb, because the verb is very simply is just an action. And then we have seen so far next, where do they function? Where do they function? So here we have the second type is the objective. مثل. Now, yeah, you can go. So the objective pronouns, I said that they come just before, they come just before they come just after the verb. And now we go to the third. Now we go to the third after and before. Now we go to the third one, which is the possessive, okay? The possessive pronoun. The possessive pronouns. And in order to make it easy, I shall write again I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. So these are what, as I told you, these are subject pronouns. They are subjective pronouns. So for objective pronouns, they become what? I becomes what? I becomes me. Okay? And you becomes you. No change. And he becomes him and her and it and us and you and them and them. So these are objective pronouns. As I write first here, we have a verb, if you still remember, and we have after and before. Now, when we talk about when we talk about the possessive pronouns, they are different a little bit when we talk about their function in the sentence. So I becomes me and becomes my, and this is very familiar. Becomes my, you becomes your, he becomes him, so him and becomes his, okay, and her becomes her, no change, and it with s here, it's, and this is our and and your and their and there. So here we have the three types now. We have the subjective, the objective, and the possessive. This is what? This is the possessive. This is the possessive pronouns. So I becomes me in the object pronouns, becomes my in the possessive pronoun. You becomes you, becomes your in the possessive pronoun. He, him, his, and she, her, and it's with s here. We, us, our, you, your, they, them, and their. Now the next step is to see how we use the possessive pronouns in English. We see how to function, how do they function. I write a simple phrase here. I write, for example, my book, okay? I write my book. So as you can see here, we have possessive pronoun. Of course, we are talking about possessive pronouns here in abbreviation. So we have possessive plus what? Plus book. What is a book? Is a verb? No, it's not a verb. It's a noun. It's a noun. It's a noun, so we say my book, my book. So we always have possessive plus noun. Or let's take another example. Let's take another example. We say, for example, my blue nice book. My blue nice book. Here, as you can see, we don't have just the noun, but we have something else. As we can see, we have my, and we have blue, and nice, and book. So this is what? This is possessive adjective plus an adjective plus another adjective plus a noun. So to be clear, we use the possessive nouns, as I told you, just we use just before, just before, just before a noun, or before, before, before what? An adjective or a group of adjectives plus noun. So we say my book. So what is possessive is possession, things that are we own, that we have. So when I say book, that's my book, that's my pen, my computer. So my, your, his, etc. So the function of the possessive pronoun is just before a noun or before a group of adjectives or just one adjective plus noun. And we go back and see. So, as I told you, we have English pronouns, subjective, objective, possessive. We have subjective, objective, and possessive. I wrote the subjective pronouns here all together. I, you, he, she, it, and we have you, we, and they. And then we have seen how do they function. I say they always come before a verb. The subjective pronouns always before a verb. And we went to analyze. We say she eats meat. Who? That's Sarah. So Sarah can replace a female pronoun, which is she. And we have Ahmed goes to school here. It's always a male. So we say he. And when it comes to it drinks milk. So that's objective. And so for object and for animals. Now we move to the objective pronouns. I wrote the subjective pronouns here and the objective pronouns to make them clear. And I say that we always have a verb. So like the sentence here, we have subject, verb, object. So when we have before the verb, that's a subject. After the verb, that's an object. And then we went to see the rule, which is before and after. We always use before and after. Before a verb, that's a subject. After a verb, it's an object. And then we move to the possessive pronouns, and I wrote all the three categories here to see them in a clear way. So that's I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. And then we have seen the object pronouns me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. And then we have the possessive pronouns, which are my, your, his, her, its, our, your, and their. There. So for possessive pronouns, we say my book. So what is a book is a noun. We're not talking about verbs like the subjective and the objective here. We're talking about the nouns. So when we have objective possessive pronouns, they come with a noun. So that's why we say my book. So possessive plus a noun. So before a noun, we find a possessive a possessive uh, possessive pronoun. So we say possessive pronoun plus adjective plus another adjective plus noun. So in general, possessive pronouns, they can function just with nouns or with adjective plus nouns. And in the end, these adjectives are there to describe the noun itself. So now we go to some practice. We will go to some practice. Okay, we do some practice all together. Okay, we go to some practice all together. I shall give you some sentences and we work on them all together to see whether we understand what we have done so far today or not. I will just write something like 2 or 3 sentences. Do you know? We start with the first one. Do you know? Do you know the man? Do you know the man? Question mark. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know him? Do you know him? So when we talk about the man, that's him. And of course, here we say this is a verb. So just after the verb, we have object pronouns, which is him. And this is very clear. Let's go and see. I give you now another sentence here. Another sentence. My friend and I. My friend and I have money. Have money. Go shopping. Go shopping. Okay? Go shopping. Go shopping. Next sentence, please. Robert and Mark, she gave, okay? She gave, okay? And here we have, she gave a birthday gift. A birthday gift. I really liked it. I really liked it. And then we go to the next sentence, please. Elephants are very, very big. So eat food a lot. Eat food a lot. Do you feel okay? Do you feel okay? Do you feel okay? Can I help? Can I help? So next sentence, please now. Spiders, he gave me the box. He gave me the box, but he gives me the box, but I lost it. So I think this is enough for our practice today. This is a little practice to see whether we understand the subject, subjective, objective, and the possessive pronouns. So we start with the first sentence. Do you know the man? So what is the man here? The man as an object. Well, so what do we have? This is you as a subject in the sentence, and we have know as a verb, and this is the object. So here, in order not to repeat the man, we say, do you know the man? Do you know the man? So do you know him? I replace the man by him here. So my friend and I. My friend and I, so that's plural, okay, subject, have money. We have money. My friend and I have money. So we go shopping. So it's me, and so we go shopping. My friend and I have money. We go shopping. The next one, please. She gave a birthday gift. And here we have I. I here is a subject pronoun. I really liked it. So that's a subject pronoun. But here we have subject plus verb. So what do we need? Object for I. It's me. What do we say? She gave me a birthday gift. I really liked it. The next sentence we go and see. Elephants are very big. Elephants is a subject. Are is a verb. Very big. Of course, it's an adverb plus an adjective. So what is elephant here? If I want to replace it here, we say they. So they eat food a lot. Next sentence. Do you feel okay? Do you feel okay? So that's we have you and feel, okay, as a subject and verb. Can I help? Help who? Object pronoun, I help you. Then the next sentence, he gave me the box. He is a subject, gave is a verb, and me is the first object, and the box is the second object. So here we have object, object, and here we have subject, and here we have verb. So, but lost it. But me here becomes in the first place before the verb. So when we have it before the verb, that's a subject pronoun. So we say, he gave me the box, but I lost it. So I hope that this little practice is clear to you, and we have illustrated so far what we have done so far today. So I repeat the sentences. Do you know the man? Do you know him? My friend and I have money, so we go shopping. We go shopping. She gave me a birthday gift. I really liked it. And here we have elephants are very big, so they eat food a lot. And the next sentence, do you feel okay? Can I help you? And the next one, he gave me the box, but I lost it. But I lost it. So I think that our lesson is going to be over in the next few seconds. I hope it is clear for everybody, and I was very happy and excited to explain to you all, and that was really fun. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you in the next lesson, and goodbye.